And we're live.
How's that for timing? We got live and he just got on just before.
Yeah, there he is.
All right, I'm back.
Hey, Don.
Hey.
Meet John. Don.
Good to
John
meet you,
Don. All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you remember the last time I interviewed you. Do you remember when that was? This is a trivia question.
Yeah, real trivial.
Trivia.
Couple 3 years ago, I think.
Good call. It was March 2018. I would have never known. I knew it was somewhere, but I had to go and watch. I watched the replay this morning because I was curious. What did we talk about?
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is valid right now.
Well, and I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking to myself, oh, I got some questions for Don to see how much of what was then is now and all that good stuff. So Don, John and I have been doing these weekly photo streams, photobuzz streams since March. We've probably done about 50 of them so far, and very similar to the one.
Nothing better to do.
Yeah, well,
people haven't got sick of us yet, so
there's the whole COVID thing too, which kind of gave us a lot of time because we were locked down like forever. And
well, yeah, you're Canada, right?
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. What do they call it? Kanakistan or some other communist reference to yeah, the way the rules are implemented up here. So it's
we just call it South Detroit.
What's South Detroit like?
Windsor.
Oh,
actually, it would be North Detroit, wouldn't it? Because we're north of Detroit.
No, actually, well, there's that
Middle East
Bon Jovi song that refers to South Detroit, and everybody's like, "That's Windsor."
Yeah.
Anyway.
I've been to Detroit before on my motorcycle 5-6 years ago. I had a blast.
Yeah,
I've been there many times.
Yeah, we stayed at the skankiest hotel we could find, and we went to all the sketchiest parts. I wanted to see.
Really?
I wanted to see it firsthand.
Well, that was pretty easy to find.
Oh, yeah, it was everywhere. The abandoned buildings.
When I grew up in Toronto, we used to go to Detroit all the time. It's only a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, but you got to go now where it's like
Windsor. Sorry,
it's Detroit is dystopiaville. So, Don, where are you located again for anybody watching, listening?
Sure. Well, to be a little eclectic about it or evasive,
that'll work.
I tell people we're halfway between the Lions and the Lugnuts. Everybody knows the Lions. Yeah, we excel in failure. And the Lugnuts are a Lansing minor league baseball team.
All right.
So we're about 45 minutes outside of downtown Detroit and about an hour from Lansing.
So are you south of Detroit?
No, northwest.
Oh, all right. So you're in Michigan.
Yep.
I don't know why I had Ohio in my brain, but
we get Ohio in our brain every fall.
Bada boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I rewatched our 2018 replays so I could get up to date, and it was pretty good. You had a lot of good information, and one thing I mentioned, and I'm going to reiterate real quick, is that I like interviewing guys like yourself. You're a mom and pop photography studio. You operate a home studio, and you've got a lot of history and success and struggles. I mean, we all have struggles, and I like hearing about struggles and how you get through them because this is important stuff. I think business, being self-employed, even if you're a small business owner, it's one of the greatest self-help programs and self-improvement programs out there because you're going to learn, and you learn through struggles. So you were doing a lot of
learning that happens.
Yeah. So you were doing a lot of weddings. They were on the decline. You were doing seniors. They were on the decline, but your averages were going up. You were doing a lot of dance studio and that sort of stuff. So before we get into those details, or you might want to jump right into them, tell us what you've been up to overall and on those areas that I just mentioned. You got anything that you'd like to share with us right off the bat?
Well, we'll start off with, as far as weddings, we don't advertise weddings. We kind of stay away from it. most of the time, if we do a wedding, we have history with the clients, whether it's, well, as an example, I do have one wedding scheduled for next year. We have history. The bride's parents, we photographed their wedding in the mid 90s. And then the groom's side, we photographed him and his siblings for their senior portraits. Plus, we photographed his mom's second wedding.
Right.
Kind of hard to turn that down.
So before you carry on, Don, how many weddings have you done where you photographed the mom and dad's wedding? Is that a thing now?
A couple.
That number is going to probably build up.
No. We're actually, this one was kind of like okay, here's a happy
All
price,
right.
and they took it. It's like,
Okay.
shoot, you know.
Okay, cool.
And then the real catch on that comes in a little bit further in this conversation, because currently I really wish I hadn't taken it.
Why's that?
Let's hit it right away. I'm sure you've seen what we've been doing with automotive photography and the light painting.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working on that for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
We started our first one in July last year after attending Hartman's class in August of 2019. And we also do a lot of high school sports. So I came back from that class and I had to do my sports stuff. I couldn't get to the light painting. We finally broke free and did that in July of 2020. And so for almost a year, we've really been pushing that and
Nice.
getting a lot of technique down on that.
That's amazing.
So, up here in Frankenmuth, there is an annual auto show called Auto Fest. This is its 38th year. And I had not even really heard of it much. But when you start working in this genre, you start to hear about all these really cool places and things and happenings and events.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some searching on it and found that a booth for 3 days was $100.
It's a steal.
You know what? You just can't turn that one down. So we signed up. And now the name of our automotive light painting is called Art After Dark. And you always, if you look for the website, you got to put a dash between art and after, because I am not responsible for what you might find if you don't.
True. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, and when I signed up for this booth at AutoFest, which took place second weekend of September, I called the vendor, the guy in charge of the vendors, and I said, "Look, this is my first time here. Give me a little insight." And he was happy to provide all that. In fact, we met with him for about an hour and a half in person, and he gave us all kinds of info regarding the previous photographers who had since retired.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And that really helped me, because we integrated their process, and which really drove people to our booth. And we went into it looking at, let's just kind of make an impact. Let's create an impression. Let's show people what we're doing, and maybe get a couple of sales. Well, we killed it.
Okay, yeah. Look, before you carry on, I got to say something.
Okay.
For anybody watching or listening to the replay, like I said, I interviewed Don back in March of 2018, and it was pretty obvious to me that he's heavy into marketing, and I see a lot of parallels to what you just described. You go into a new situation, and you're using a lot of the same mindset and strategies, which I find, which is where the real gold is, and the real strategy insofar as building I'm going to say a new business, but it's not a new business because it's photography, but in a new area. And at the end, I remember at the end of our last time we talked, you talked about weddings, dance, seniors, and everything else. And then you said you were going to get into light painting.
Yeah.
Automobiles.
Right.
And obviously you did. And thank you, John. I was going to ask John if you could show some of the images. And maybe, John, we could show, there's on Don's website, he has a couple images, Art After Dark, in the Art After Dark category, if you want to show those as well. Is that yours right there, Don?
Oh, I wish. That's 56 Chevy, man. That thing was gorgeous. But yeah, that's our work. The funny thing about that is we were almost done, and a cop comes up, because we were parked on the sidewalk there, and I'm going, "Oh, great, I think we're done." Mm-hmm. And, he asked what we were doing, and the owner of the car says, "Well, we're photographing my car." And the guy looks at him, he goes, it's dark. So, and then recently we did one in front of a dealership just north of me, about an hour. And I had to go to the dealership and I said, look, your parking lot lights are going to all be on every night. I go, I need them off for this project. If you can help me out, that'd be great.
You just asked.
Yeah, I just asked. I just, struck up a conversation. Of course, sitting on the desk of this manager was a bunch of old car photos. And so he was very interested.
Mm-hmm.
And they acquiesced to that request. They came and they turned off all the lights for me.
Nice.
What they failed to do was inform the local constables.
Uh-oh.
And about halfway through our project, these guys come up pretty quick with the lights flashing and everything. And of course, they got a report that somebody was in this dark parking lot at the dealership waving around a flashlight.
Uh-huh.
So we had a good laugh about it, and we showed them what we were doing. So, and they went on their way, and we finished the job. But
amazing.
It was kind of fun. Another one of those little incidents.
Cool.
But anyway, so the AutoFest thing really jump-started, and we sold 12 jobs right there.
Nice.
So those we're booked. We've done 2 or 3 already. We gave away a big grand prize there that they said was like 5 times the amount of any other grand prize they've ever received to give away.
Right.
So that got their attention. So they were very tuned to what we were doing. There was over 2,000 cars for 3 days.
Okay.
So there's a lot of owners, a lot of guys that would be interested in what we're doing with that.
That's amazing.
So anyway, and then tie into the wedding, this kind of like off on a weird vector, but it comes back to roost here.
Yeah.
We booked this wedding probably about 5 or 6 months ago for September next year, which happens to coincide with the Prime Day at AutoFest next year.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I've got some people in place to handle the booth for us for that one day, and otherwise we'll be, we just got to scramble a little bit.
You, how long is AutoFest? 3 days, you said?
It's 3 days. Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
How many cars?
Over 2,000.
That's a lot of cars. That's a lot of a lot of clients, man. That's a lot of leads.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and we learned a lot from it. For next year, I'll probably set up 2 different booths.
Really?
Because the vendor area, people were still. We were told it was only about half attended because people just didn't want to go up in the crowded area.
Right.
So this is all spread out across about 3 or 4 baseball fields and a big park. Wow. And so we'll probably put up another 10 or 2 down in the display areas. We saw other vendors doing the same.
I got to ask you, Don, you're going there not so much to hit up the attendees, but to hit the people who are showing their cars. Is this correct?
We actually hit both. But yeah, the big ones were the guys that were driving in. And the key for this one, I'm backing up a little bit. We had signed up for Autorama, which is in downtown Detroit at what used to be called Cobo Hall. Mm-hmm. And every year that one brings in people from around the nation, but it's a different type of clientele there. These are guys that are trailering in cars, well, mainly because it's early March and there's still snow more than likely. Mm-hmm. But they're bringing in these vehicles that they have spent hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars on, wow. And even sending caretakers instead of coming in themselves.
Yeah.
So it's a different clientele, and we're kind of exploring that. We may go down to that one. We'll see. Haven't made my decision yet.
I'm thinking you ought to go if you're going to take this direction serious. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, it's the spaghetti treatment, throw it on the wall, see what sticks. So you just got to kind of, and we're in the early stages. I had kind of committed to a 2 to 3 year process on this just to see where it's going to go and to see what kind of price point I have to come in at. Mm-hmm. Because currently with the AutoFest, we gave a half off deal,
right,
which is a little bit low for what I really want to see. Right. But it's given me some indication of where it can go. So
Were you thinking, oh, I shouldn't have gone that low?
No, I really wanted to generate the excitement, and I don't mind doing that, mainly because the rest of our stuff is still going very strong.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 high schools now, and that's all just our district.
Right.
Okay, so I have 3 high schools here that we do all their sports, the team and individual photos for.
All right.
Not action. This is just basic pose stuff. So we've got 3 high schools and 2 middle schools in that district.
Mm-hmm.
So that keeps us busy almost year round.
Yep.
The weird part is that since we last talked, I don't know if I had told you now, but we had been keeping our eye on a condo in Fort Myers, and that came true earlier this year.
Nice.
We jumped on a really good deal, and so we committed to that in February. We picked up the 3rd high school in April.
Mm-hmm.
We closed on the condo in May,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 days after we closed, we got a offer to rent it out for 6 months. So we did, because we're just so busy here suddenly.
Got to
We picked
do
up
it.
the additional high school. We picked up a couple more leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of us doing what we wanted to, which was, okay, it's time to pace ourselves and slow down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it went the other direction. So, yeah, we still have 4 dance studios, I think,
Okay.
maybe 5. We have one that's kind of like every other year and hit and miss. So,
Who's counting?
yeah, we take it as it comes in. Our
Yeah.
seniors really tailed off this year.
Okay.
We used to do average about 130 a year. This year, I think we're doing 20 to 25.
Is that because of COVID?
No, I think it's several things. One, we used to be able to get the list right directly from the schools.
Mm-hmm.
So they were clean lists. And instead of spending, getting the list is really not that much money from the national list providers, but it's real dirty. It might be 20% effective of actual addresses.
Yeah.
And then of that, it's not a matter of the cost of the list, it's the cost of the mailing.
So
that is
you're
a little bit prohibitive.
You're still using direct mail for your seniors?
Yep. Yeah, we use direct mail. The other thing I've done is with the high schools I require a roster from the coach with names, grades, and parent contact. So when the parents order, I know that kid is that year, and I add that to my own list for seniors.
Yeah.
So that one's pretty good because we've already got connection with that family. And the only difference is you got to really kind of educate them on volume prices versus senior grad prices. So
yeah,
some of them don't like that.
Educating is part of your responsibility. And now you're talking about some pretty good marketing strategies here. I love the fact that you're still using email, but your biggest challenge at this point is getting a nice clean list. So likewise with the AutoFest people, obviously you're still working that out, but it's the same principle. You're going after the people who are most likely to buy your product. You're testing the waters. You've booked a bunch already. It seems to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you're pretty happy with the results so far with your experiences at AutoFest.
Oh yeah, we're ecstatic with it.
Cool. Can I ask?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I ask you what you offered them? And
sure. Our standard session fee currently is $800 to do a light painting. That's one vehicle. If you want to add another one, it's $400. We were offering half off of that, so it was $400 plus $200 for additional vehicles. And the other night we did, technically we did 5 vehicles.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, plus a motorcycle, all in one frame.
Amazing.
But it was 2 of them were parked inside his huge pole barn.
Yep.
And we already did just the motorcycle, so he's going to get a pretty good deal. But then we also offered him half off of any product line. Now the product line starts at $900 for an 18-inch metal, and it can go up to however big they want. So the biggest one we had on display there was a 5 foot wide of the two Woodies that we photographed.
What's a Woody?
The Woody is a car that uses wood for the exterior panels.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah. That night the sexual innuendos were flying everywhere. So it was a fun night.
It sounds amazing. So I got to ask you this question. I'm playing devil's advocate in part here. Next time you go, are you going to offer a reduction, or do you think it'll sell full price because of the fact that you produce a pretty decent quality product and you've got a market? They're proud. They've got money. First of all, it seems to me they got money to spend on this stuff. Why not create a beautiful piece of art that they can hang in their somewhere in their house or in their garage or at their workplace?
Well, again, it's all kind of testing, feeling. I mean, all of us probably started low and then just gradually increased our prices as we went. So we're in that creating the demand process, and then we'll regulate the pricing with the supply. But even with the condo, we're down half an hour north of Naples, and there's a huge market down there with automotive. I mean, that's where you see some extremely high-end cars.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the client. A lot of those guys, they just like to drive their car, and the ones that I like are the ones that work on their car. Those are the ones that we tend to see the best response from.
Really?
So in response to your other question about pricing, we're going to you got to have a deal. You got to have a special for the show.
Something.
It's not going to be half off. I was telling everybody, this is the best deal you will ever see, because it's going to go up from here. And I'm sure that triggered a couple to sign up right there.
No.
Our prices next year, the session fee is going to be a bit higher. I'm not going to do a half off. I'll do a little bit, and maybe I'll add on something of value, which will be a better move, I think. So, it's feeling it out and seeing where it's going to go.
Well, I like what you're doing, Don. I'm really inspired, and I like the fact that you're applying your photographic skills at a whole new level into a market. Nowadays more than ever, it's like you got to create something that is really unique. And
I was watching John Hartman do all of his stuff, and I'm going, I'm in the heart of the Motor City. Mm-hmm. There's got to be a market here. So we actually, to kind of build up to that again a little bit, while I was doing all that portfolio work, which I did at no charge, I sold a few prints here and there.
Right.
I wound up just going to several local car meets weekly around here during the summertime. You can find places where guys with cars just come to gather, and you'll see 200 or 300 cars sometimes. So you just wander around and pick a few that you really like. And I've tried to get into different niches, because all the vet guys hang together and all the Mustang guys hang together. Same Camaro, and the fun ones are the rat rods. I love shooting those.
Really?
Those are some really unique machines. I mean, these guys have such an imagination.
You're talking American Graffiti stuff here.
Well, not real sure, but the rat rods, for anybody who really doesn't know what that is, it's the anti Barrett, anti Concours d'Elegance. It's hey, I didn't build this for you, I built it for me. Sometimes, well, as an example, that tow truck that we did in front of that pole barn, I think you showed that, John. Mm-hmm. That guy, he's got shower handles for indoor, for the inside of the doors. Okay. Hot and cold. The console around the gear shift is actually a bedpan.
Okay.
They just come up with some really creative, cool stuff.
Got it.
Those are the fun ones. But the local shows is where I started it all, and then that one right there.
So you're feeling out the market and getting to know them, and obviously becoming aware of who are the most responsive, And I'm sure in your mind, you want to find out those who are going to be the most responsive insofar as sales are concerned as well, right?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
That's important to you. It sounds to me like you're planning on spending more time in Florida. You bought some real estate down there.
Yeah, well, it's actually a good thing that we rented out. Otherwise, I'd be chomping at the bit trying to get down there. But
Yeah.
it will be down there more frequently, kind of setting up shop down in Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa Bay area, in between all that. So we've already got a couple jobs lined up. One in Jacksonville in December,
Nice.
and then another down in Fort Myers, or early part of January. So.
Last week we had somebody from that area, right, John? Larry.
Yes, I think so. Yes,
Larry Herzberger.
Herzberger. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's on the other side of, I think, isn't he in Miami or down?
No, he's on the same side as Naples. He's further north up by Tampa.
Oh, okay. All right. I know Larry. I played golf with him. He was a riot.
Yeah. What a great time we had. That was last Wednesday. It was
a really good one.
Was he showing off the baby?
We
talked about it, but he never showed him off. I had a quick question, if I can. I was looking at some of your shots there, and I noticed that normally you have the dark skies or you have the nice sunsets, but there was the one there that had the star streaks in there. Did you add that in later, or is that just part of the shot when you shoot it?
Yeah, that one, I actually tried to drop in a red sunset, and it competed with the GTO. Mm-hmm. So it just took away from it. And so, yeah, I dropped in the Milky Way later.
Okay, so you actually do a lot of the dropping in the, or else the ones with just a black one or a nice sunset, are they just there naturally, or?
The Mustang was a natural sunset. There's a couple of them that were natural, but oftentimes, if we've got a clear day, it's just blah. So we'll drop in a different one. But that's a really different technique. And I have to keep going back to my notes to remember how to do it and all. But it's about a 10-step process to really do it clean.
Can we see an image?
Sure,
John,
I'll put them up. Yeah, I'll put them up while he's talking there.
I don't know which image you're talking. I'd love to see this. You got my curiosity going now.
See, I got a couple behind me. I've got the guitars up on the wall. Yeah, that was a natural one. That was our first one we ever did. That was the drop.
There's the Milky Way drop with the stars.
Okay.
I was talking about.
Yeah. But if you look close, you can see it through the leaves too.
Nice.
And there's about a 5 to 10 step process to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
See, that one, that was natural. That was actually that car is 55 years apart, the same model.
Yeah.
So the GT 500, 2020, 770 horsepower, and that's in front of a billboard on the back of a private racetrack.
No kidding.
In Pontiac. So those are the guys that I also want to be looking at, because it's called M1 Concourse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're building one down in Tampa area, I think. But they're private. That's a natural sunset. The private garages and private car condos, and it's built around a 1.5 mile private racetrack.
Wow.
So these guys go in and spend a lot of zeros and dress it out. Yeah.
Well, it sounds exciting. I got to ask you a quick question about your portfolio mentioned a few minutes ago. You did a bunch when you were first learning this. Obviously, you went out there and photographed a bunch to build your portfolio and obviously learn and get the strategies down, the technique down. How many did you shoot before you felt, I got this?
I'm still not totally 100% there. Mm-hmm. Learned one the other day with that 5-car one.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're always learning.
Just a little tweak. Like, okay, before I process these images, I got to fix that barrel distortion and some other things on there too, just because we were racked out to full width. And when you do that, the edges get a little fuzzy, and you want this to be tack sharp.
So,
Keystone Fix was a helpful too, but there's some other things, and I use Capture One, and that's just absolutely brilliant software.
Mm-hmm.
So it just it helped. But yeah, I'm always learning. There's little things. The Mustang, that was down near Monroe, so that was close to Lake Erie. And unfortunately, the guy had a big shop fan to keep the mayflies off of it while we were photographing.
No. Wow. Was this something you preemptively knew was going to be a thing, or it was like, holy geez, we got a problem here?
Yeah, that was like, oh, look at all that. What can we do? So, and the other
Right.
one, another one, we went and got the whole setup. You know, we started pulling the gear out of the car, and my wife is the trigger person. So the camera is on the tripod. It doesn't move the entire process. There's sometimes anywhere between 100 to 200 images done,
Wow.
and they're all on top of each other.
Yeah.
Well, to do that, my wife is triggering the camera with a laptop.
Okay.
We pulled up to this job, and we're pulling the gear out, and she goes, "Where's the laptop?"
Oh no.
Like, okay, we're going to use the phone to trigger this one.
Well, that'll
And,
work, right?
yeah, it did, but it doesn't show us the large image
Yeah.
that I want to see and evaluate whether or not I got the light correct on this image or
Makes
that.
sense.
And so we kind of fumbled through that and pulled it off.
I want to stress the importance of the camera cannot move, not even by 1 pixel,
Right.
when you're doing these 100 images, and the importance of being remotely firing this. And I think that's kind of the background behind that strategy, correct?
That is the first thing you do. And then the second thing you do is you tell the client who you want there watching this whole process,
Right.
don't go near the camera, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you want the client there during these shoots? Do you feel
Absolutely.
that's important? They get sort of excited and involved?
Well, yeah, with that first pass, I use a 2-foot Godox light wand, and the first pass, when they see what we do, you always hear, that wow. So it comes up on the screen. They're watching over my wife's shoulder, and it's like, whoa. They most of them just really don't have a concept of what you're doing until you start doing it.
Then their mind is blown.
Yeah, very easy to impress them.
I'm going to say this is a corollary to when you're selling either child portraits or family portraits, and when they cry, they buy. They get emotionally involved.
Oh, and these guys can cry too over their babies.
So, but when you show that first pass and they get wow, that's a powerful emotional experience and commitment, and you see that for what it is. It's valuable, right?
Oh yeah. At that point, really, after the first pass, that's when I ask them, just how big do you want to go with this? So I'm selling right from the start. It's
nice.
You can do that.
Yeah.
I got to ask you about the Godox light one.
Yeah.
That's a LED light.
Yep.
Right, and it's battery operated. I noticed Godox is coming out with more and more LED lights, and I'm all intrigued. Are you painting your cars with only that, or do you have several lights that you're painting with?
I have about 12 different lights that I have access to. The wand is number one.
Okay.
Probably 96% of what we do is lit with that.
Okay, good.
I got a couple of light paddles, we call them. They're little round. I think Loom Cube sells them now, but the one I have is discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. But that one is used for a lot of the interior stuff because it's flat, and I can get it up underneath the headliner, which is, for those who don't know, that's the inside of the car up at the top under the roof. And I can keep that hidden from the camera, but yet light the interior that way.
Nice.
Very cool.
So that's another light. I have a bunch of little flashlights. Some of them are more powerful than others.
So you're using constant light the whole time. You're not using flash or like strobes or anything.
No strobes. There are guys who are doing that, but the issue that it can be done, and these guys who are doing it and pulling it off are incredible.
Yeah.
I can't do it that way because I come from an automotive background. I used to work at GM on computers.
I remember.
As a draftsman. And I want to see a smooth highlight, and to get those strobed images to line up and get the highlights to combine, that would be extremely difficult for me.
Yeah.
With black cars are probably the hardest because they're black.
Yeah.
They're pits, and so it's all about the highlights.
All about the highlights.
Because you don't want that black to go gray.
Yep.
No.
So
Amazing.
So, bringing up the exposure, yeah, that's a no-no. Even on that black Corvette that I did, John, that you brought up, I cheated a little bit on that, and I went in and I created some spline work. So that was some Photoshop magic.
Got to do what you got to do to get it done.
Yeah, the highlight was just wavering too much because you're walking with this. You're not rolling it along a smooth surface. You're walking and holding this. It's at the end of a small painter's pole, and so I can get it up a little high.
Yeah.
And honestly, Hartman. I don't know if you want the pitch here or not, but Hartman does sell.
I was going to ask, so go for it.
Yeah, he sells an online or an internet teaching version of this.
Cool.
Yeah, it comes up short to what you do live with him, but for those who can't get to his workshop,
it'll get you started.
Yeah, it'll get you started, and the actions that he provides is worth, probably 10 times.
So you learned from John Hartman, and if anybody's interested, go to John. Just Google John Hartman light painting, and you'll find his website. I've had him on a few times as well, having conversations like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very in-depth and detailed, and would seem to me it's so much information that the only real best way is to attend his live workshop. It's 3 days, right?
Yeah, it's typically 2 to 3 days in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And there's some amazing stuff up there. Last time I was there, he does an alumni workshop every year. You have to go through the workshop first, and then you can join up in the alumni group.
Nice.
And so we all get together and compare marketing strategies and successes and failures. And
very cool.
The last time I was there, we went to a car barn. I think the guy said it was a 2.2 million build. And there was, I think, 80 classic cars way back, all the way back to Model T and even further.
Wow.
And I think the earlier or the latest model he had was about the mid 70s.
Okay. The whole gamut.
There was some amazing vehicles in there.
I want people to realize, I'm going to touch on the technique for a second. You're doing up to 100 exposures. Camera's locked down. Each exposure is 30 seconds?
No, you got to watch that because you're going to get a lot of grain, a lot of noise in there. Right. And then you're going to be fixing that a lot. So you're locked down. You're at 100 ISO. You're on bulb at 16, F16, F18. Excuse me. And our exposures are anywhere between 5 to 20 seconds.
Okay. So it varies.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Maximum 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's where we kind of stop it. That's where we're
up after that, probably.
What's that?
Starts to break up after the 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's when you start to see a lot of little red, blue, and green dots.
Yeah,
then you're going in and really doing a lot of repair work. I did that. That happened to me on one of the 57 Chevys we did last year in Florida. Yeah, and I just had huge amount of noise in there. And it took me a while to fix it, but.
So are you waiting until it's completely black outside?
What's that?
Are you waiting till it's almost completely black outside, or is this at dusk that you're doing it? Or
well, we set up about 30 minutes before dark, before sunset, and you take a couple of exposures, especially as the sun is setting, and giving you that sky that you might want to use. So we're varying the exposure. I use the Lumix line of cameras, so it's mirrorless, so that again there's no shutter slam, mirror slap. And, but it's, where was I going with that?
Shooting about 30 minutes before sunset.
30 minutes. Thank you. Yeah. And then you have to wait a little bit after sunset because one of the big things that you find is even though you think it's dark enough, you're going to get sky reflection when you're shooting long exposures. You don't want the sky reflected in the metal. So, I started a little bit early actually on the last job, and I paid the price on that. I have to kind of be real intricate in piecing all these exposures together. But it's so you want to wait. John says about 7 exposures difference between ambient and the flash and the light.
Yeah. That's a good rule of thumb. Amazing. 100 exposures, and then you're
Well,
building it all.
that's a quick night. I think we did 240 with the 5-car job, and we're getting better. Of that, most of the time I'm right around 120, 130, and I'll use probably 50 to 80 exposures.
So you don't use them all, but you need them all.
Yeah, and oftentimes the weird part is that while we're lighting a particular area that we are targeting, oftentimes that light hits other small areas that we use later that we didn't intend to from that exposure.
Right.
Because it's kind of like, oh, hey, that caught that B pillar real nice right there. Let's bring that section in too.
Cool.
So these are all masked in and brushed in at a low flow rate, not opacity, but it's a low flow rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving away a lot of John's instructions. Sorry. I'm talking about it, but
that's amazing.
So that's the direction we want to go.
Yeah.
I'm 63 and a half. I'm looking at that 66 years and 8 months here where I can access, that's the wand, where I can access my full Social Security without penalty.
Right.
So I can earn as much as I want. So that'll be February of 25.
Are you planning on moving to Florida full time then, or?
No, we'll be once we sell here, we'll be finding some place up North Michigan for summer. Mm-hmm. As I like to play a lot of golf.
Right.
And that's a great area to be playing. So we'll play the snowbird thing.
What about family, grandkids, all that stuff?
Well, we got one grandchild on the way late this month.
First one.
We got 3 kids scattered across the country. Our son is in the Navy. He's in Jacksonville. He was in San Diego. So his sister, his youngest sister, is out there renting the house from him so he can keep that.
So he's in Florida. So is he the one having the child?
No. Our oldest is a pediatrician in the Kalamazoo area. She's the one having the baby.
Okay. Up in Michigan. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it sounds exciting, and it sounds like you've got some exciting plans. You know, I've always felt that photographers, we have a lot of these opportunities to carry on our ability to make money and to keep creating. I was talking to a bunch of youngsters last night. I was at a meeting, and these 20-somethings were picking my brains, and I showed them some of my fairy portraits, and the one guy said, "Oh my God, that's like a Baroque painting." And I said to the guys, I said, "I've been doing this for 42 years." And they're like, "Wow." And I said, I feel so lucky to be able to still be able to earn a full-time living and a decent living at that, taking pictures. And we have that ability, don't you find, as even if we're going into retirement, you can keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I don't imagine you want to stop taking pictures. I don't imagine you want to just go golf 100% of the time.
No, that's one of the reasons why I'm developing this branch of our photography. We have a couple of preschools, but that really beats us up. Yeah, and
I get it.
Yeah, and the same thing with the dance studios. Those. So those will eventually, go by the side, but not for a while yet. We still have. I got the condo I got to pay off. So our goal is to kick that out of there in about 2.5, 3 years, and then in another probably 4 to 5, 6 year process. We'll see where it goes. But my goal is, let's start. I want to do the car stuff that I can do at my own pace. And
well, with your background too. I mean, geez, it's a perfect fit.
Yeah, that's a big selling point, I think, with us. I don't know how many, and maybe I'll get corrected on this, but based on what I know or what I've seen through Hartman, I believe there's probably 10 to 12 guys who are doing this across the country at this level.
That's
The
nothing,
one
right?
with Hartman, and there's a couple other guys, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, that seem to be doing quite well with it.
Yeah. No, in when the grand scheme of things, isn't that a small amount? Which means there's
Extremely small, extremely small. And when I look at the potential in this area, I don't know, giddy.
you're excited. I got to ask you a question about dance. Now, we have a good friend up in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, who's very, very successful. And the bulk of his business, though, as many of us, the bulk of my business is ferries. You know, the 80-20 rule,
Yeah.
ferries and pop-up weddings. He and his wife, Paula, his name was Warren, had the bulk of his business was in dance schools. Massively successful, and it was growing, and then COVID. And he just closed her down 2 months ago. He moved. He's into a whole new business. He's going to keep doing photography, but he's gone into had an opportunity to get involved in a renovations business, which I find kind of tragic in a sense. I don't want to say the word tragic because you got to know Warren to know that he's eternally optimistic. Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal. He's just got that attitude. However, he had one direction and it was working out so successfully in photography, and he pretty much was pushed into a corner. Do you see that happening in your circle of photographic friends or your area? I'm going back to the whole COVID question, lockdowns and all that. How does that playing out for you guys? That's where I'm going with that.
Okay. Well, we didn't really see a lot of downturn in that. We pretty much worked around the accommodation, what we could do and what we couldn't do.
Yeah.
It's an interesting question because I had several different ways that we had to do dance studio this year.
Right.
For the most part, the individuals, they were fine. They come up, take their mask off, and boom, boom, we're
okay. You were still able to shoot.
Yes.
We couldn't shoot at all, like zero.
Well, let me rephrase that.
5 months we were almost 100%.
Well, in 2020, let me rephrase it. In 2020, we got shut down entirely.
For the first 3 months.
Yes. Now, for us, the good thing was when I was researching the PPP, which is in the United States is the payroll protection plan.
Right.
That was providing funds for people who were shut off of business, and they open it up to small business owners. Well, I found a clause in there that activated a seasonal aspect of my business.
Right.
Dance studios at that time in 2019 was 65% of my annual income.
Wow.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
So based on that, we were able to access a whole lot more funding than otherwise.
Right.
And then, of course, that wasn't even taxed. So somebody's going to pay for it. So,
it helped.
Yeah.
No, that was the first 3 months. No, since
that was
then.
the first 3 months. And then we did do one dance studio in 2019, later in June. And in that case, they came into the studio with masks on, took the mask off for the individual. And then we did the group. We posed them with the masks on. Okay, everybody, mask off. Click, click, click.
Boom, boom, boom.
Mask on. Done.
Cool.
So that's how we did it in 2019. And that was we did 2 studios that year out of the 5.
Okay, I think you got the wrong year. 2019, everything was
2020,
cool.
Excuse me, 2020.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. 2021, we did all of our dance studios except one. And that was the biannual one, the one that did it every other year. And that wasn't a real big one, so it was not a big deal. But the other ones, we had all kinds of responses to it. One of them was just like, hey, we're going to do it. I don't care. Masks off. We don't, they're just like, that's ridiculous.
Nice.
And that's where I am with it. And we came in and it was a normal process. Yeah. Another one, masks on for the group, didn't even take them off.
Really?
And we had to work around that. The third one was really kind of threw a loop at us. The process that we were required to do with them required us to, again, all the individuals and all these were pretty much done without a mask, normal, because they were separated and we only brought in 2 or 3 at a time, kept them apart and all that stuff, all the guidelines. Well, when it came to the groups, we posed them in their group pose with mask on.
Okay.
Let's just say there were seven dancers in that.
Right.
Okay, you 6 off, go into the corner over there, and okay, you with the you the 7th one, don't move. Stay right there, mask off, click, stay there, mask on. Okay, bring that other one back in exactly where they were.
Right.
We did this. We shuffled them in and out.
Nice.
So we had a base image knowing where they were initially. And then we had to composite the groups without their masks on after shooting them individually.
Cool.
Now, the process that I learned from Hartman on the light painting really came in handy at that point.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And that did speed it up, but we spent a ton of time on it. And there were really, the group purchases on that did not justify the time we spent on them.
But I don't know if you've ever checked into it, but I'm actually doing that with hockey this year. Because the last 2 years, of course, I do the Petawawa Minor Hockey here, and we never were able to go and do the team and individual pitches there. They actually brought them here by team. We'd shoot them all individually. And then I had, it's called Next Gen Photo Solutions out of Ohio, I believe it is. I could be wrong. And they will actually do the composite for you. And it's actually pretty economical, and it takes the time right out of your hands. They do it all for you.
We are right on the edge of needing that kind of
right,
pushing the work off, outsourcing. Currently, excuse me, I'm using Pure Photos, and they had an amazing deal through SPAC earlier this year. I was paying 15 cents per extraction.
It's pretty decent.
Decent! It was ridiculous. Plus, you got a PNG file. Plus a Photoshop layered file.
It's amazing.
And they really saved my butt on a couple of leagues. Because, we're doing the compositing too. I've done a couple hockey teams from the high school last year like that, they couldn't pose the group or, we had to composite all of our high school stuff last year and the first part of this year. And then they finally broke free. Outdoor stuff, not an issue.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. Sounds like you're
aware of Next Gen, John, and that may come into play still on the builds, but we're kind of creeping out of that now.
Right.
And we're able, even some of the high schools are like, okay, just make it quick.
I'm just looking at doing it because normally when I did, I have 3 dance schools I did here. One closed down altogether because of COVID. She couldn't stay open. She closed altogether. The other 2 are open, and one's looking at getting me this year. The problem is when you get groups of 10 to 20 people, you're looking at bringing, and they want the white backdrop, you're looking at 20 feet by a 10 foot or whatever, and then putting floors down. This way I could just have a normal white backdrop, just a normal size one that you could shoot individuals in, and it brings me less equipment that I have to use to shoot it, and then I just go to Next Gen.
That's a big deal now for me. We bought a 5 by 10 foot trailer that holds all of our dance equipment. It's packed.
So are you getting out of dance then? You're slowly you said you were going to creep away from that. You're just creeping away. You're just sort of getting away from that. And I'm assuming the same, well, obviously with weddings and what industry besides the automotive light painting shots, what industries are going to hang on to the bitter end? I'm assuming
the sports. Yeah, the sports stuff. Because that's actually, dollar per hour. That's the best.
Okay, cool. T&I, it's known as, right?
Yeah, careful as you say that.
It's right up there with Woody. So what about this? What about SPAC? Let anybody's watching this. I want them to know what SPAC is. Senior.
It's School and Portrait. You got me on that.
Association.
California. It's California based. But they're in Vegas in January, February, and they're very keyed to heavy volume work.
Yeah.
So out of boredom last year, I decided to get in on their virtual version of it, and got some key points. But we're kind of just, I just want to kind of stay on top of things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be phasing things out, but I'm not just going to release anything until I'm just ready to do it all.
Yep.
And I'm done.
You'll know when that time is, and it sounds like it's...
Well, we've actually got a friend of mine that helped us out with some leagues, and I've had other... and so he's helped us out, and he's really done well. Mm-hmm. And then when I showed him our in-house studio, he's like, "Oh, I could just kind of move in here." I'm going, yes, you can. Let's talk money. So anyway, he's kind of excited, and young guy.
Yep.
Got him and his wife. They don't have any kids yet. Mm-hmm. So he's like, let's talk about transitions.
Cool.
Yeah, that's spec.
All right, John, we're going to let you go in a minute. Closing thoughts. John, do you have any final questions? Do you have any final thoughts, Don?
Not offhand. I've just been listening it up and just throwing it in there when I think of something.
This has been very, very good. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And
John, are you doing anything with online sales?
Not yet, but it's funny that you say that, because I here in Ontario, Canada here, we have a thing here called Ontario Digital Main Street, where you can actually go through the BIAs here and get an Ontario grant towards boosting your online presence, as long as you're a brick and mortar store. And I actually just got approved for a $2,500 grant that can go to that. And my web designer is actually working with me now to make an online e-commerce site for my website that I can use for my schools and sports and stuff like that.
Cool.
And dance.
We have
working on it.
Mine is, I use Creative Motion Design, and they have a very simple web cart that comes with their annual hosting fee, which is $100.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing about that is they don't take a percentage from me.
Oh, I like that.
There is another piece of software out there called ProofPix,
mm-hmm.
PIX. Gentleman is a former Canadian. He lives down in Panama now.
Okay.
And that is an absolutely brilliant piece of software.
Really?
I have not used it to the extent that I can.
What's it do?
Let's just say that you take the photos. When you upload it along with your data pack, it will sort it all through, send the parents an individual code, so all they see is their child or their athlete, their dancer, no one else. And it can be automated to the point where you can have the orders shipped directly to the lab, and then the lab goes right to the customer. So in other words, once you're done uploading, mm-hmm. you're done. You're done cashing the check. So
I gotta check that out.
Green screen applicable.
Nice.
Non-green. It's got so many options in it. You can buy it outright. I think he may have gone to a monthly lease now, but even the monthly lease is amazing. Yeah. But the rest of them, I've always found 10, 13, 15% is their take on your sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that kills it for any piece of software that I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I have a Squarespace site that I use and that I designed myself. And she's actually going to go and fix some little corrections on it for me. But she's also, I wanted to integrate whatever I do for my e-commerce with my Squarespace site. So, and they do a store, sort of an e-commerce store through Squarespace. So I don't know if that would work for me or not.
I would definitely encourage, and Rob and I spoke about this, back in 18. Back in, I think it was 18, maybe 17. We did a dance studio nearby, and I had 4 parents spend over $1,000 online because they were buying nearly every single pose.
Really?
And I can quickly do full length, 3/4 close up. They don't know that you can simply just crop the full length.
Yeah.
You show them those different ones, and they love them. Even soft looks, even in dance, we will always just do a standard portrait pose to show off the costume, not necessarily in a dance pose. That's another purchase. So, and then a little bit later on at another dance studio, I had one parent spend $2,500
Wow.
on 8 costumes.
This is all online sales,
all online,
which we talked about in 2018.
Because that allows me to show them more poses, more options, and they're going, yeah, give it to me.
Sweet.
It's my baby.
Yeah. And that ProofPix software, you can create all your own packages. The parents can create their own packages. It's incredibly versatile. Julian Dorman, that's the guy's name.
Cool. I'm going to look him up.
Me too, because I'll be hopefully doing a Zoom call with my web designer this weekend, and I'll go look at these first, and I'll recommend it to them so they can I'll let her go design it for me. The government's paying for it anyways. I'll let her go do it for me.
Good move. Good move.
That's cool. All right. Don, we'll let you go now. I really, really appreciate you spending the time with us. This has been a
great one.
An hour of nonstop info and inspiring, and it's exciting to hear that you're going into these new directions.
I want to go out and light paint now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's if you're into cars, and that kind of caught me back up into it because I used to own a Corvette years ago. It was mid '60s, and I got the bug, and we finally bought a 2017. So, and we're having fun with that now. I even deliver some local orders in it. It really gets some talk.
So that's your favorite car is a Corvette.
Well, I can't pinpoint a favorite, but the C7 styling is really sweet. It's still got the long hood. It's not the mid-engine. It's still front engine. 450, 60 horsepower. What's not to love?
Exactly. They're amazing to drive. So,
yep.
All right. We'll let you go then.
All right. Thanks.
I really appreciate it, guys. And Johnny, we'll be in touch. Don, good luck on all your adventures, and we'll keep in touch.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.